Hello and welcome back to the Seriously Don't Do That podcast. I'm Dan Griffith, your host. I'm the president of Grow with Dan. We're glad to have you with us. Tonight's DDT, or Don't Do That, is don't pay people for things that you don't want them to do. Good evening, David.
Good evening, Captain Obvious. I'll be sure not to pay people for things I don't want them to do. What are you talking about?
Well, I guess that's a good question and it's a fair criticism. But what I'm talking about is compensation and bonus plans. These are critical to recruiting and maintaining good folks in your organization. But the old adage that compensation drives behavior really is true. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to incent things that is not a desired behavior within your folks.
So how do you keep yourself from doing that?
Well, it can be difficult, especially early on, because you may not even know what behavior you're trying to drive. But my recommendation to my clients in my business is that you first come up with your strategic and tactical direction and really leave compensation and bonus plans to the back half or even the very end of your planning process. Because by that time you should know exactly what behaviors you're trying to drive, as well as you should know what goals that you're trying to reach in that year. And beware of the law of unintended consequences. The world is full of compensation and bonus plans that drove things sometimes that are radically opposite from what companies were trying to encourage.
So in your experience, what's a good guideline for a compensation plan?
I really like to use the same kind of adage that people use for goals, which is the acronym SMART. First starting off, it's specific. So we want to have a very specific goal. Numbers are certainly very specific. We don't want something that is very nebulous or is difficult to, the second one is measure. So we want to be able to measure what that result is. So saying something like, we want to have our customers trust in us. It can be somewhat difficult to measure, or we want our customers to be successful. But to say something like we want our customers to grow by 30%, that is a very measurable compensation target. Then achievable. Nothing's worse than having a huge number that you can't achieve. And as a salesperson, I've been there many times in my career where you have a number that's either very unachievable, or you have a compensation plan that is backloaded to the back of the year, meaning that you're not rewarding people as they sell. The next is relevant. So you want to make sure that you're compensating something on that person has control over. So burdening a salesperson with a quality team's goal is very difficult because they don't have any relation to it. It's not relevant and they don't have any impact on it. And finally, you want something that's time-bound. Most companies work on a month or a quarter or an annual basis, but it's very important that you have that. And I would say it's very important that you reward behavior as frequently as you can, monthly if you can do it. Well, David, that's about all the time we have for tonight. And I hope that Captain Obvious has done a great job of telling people to not pay somebody for something that you don't want them to do. Until next time, be well and grow. Next week, I'm going to get probably a lot of hate mail from procurement people, but we're going to tell you why you shouldn't rely on procurement in your sales process.